What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Bianconeri Zone for an update, a daily news show, a transfer news show, and it's kind of heating up now. We have some more solid news. Obviously, we potentially, or like it's a done deal. At Zeke, he's gonna be in Torino next week to do his medical and sign the pre-contract, but Romeo Agresti is coming out with updates on Djalo, on Rugani. There's updates on Miretti Jr. and even Lukaku, which is a very easy news to put out there because we play Roma tomorrow, which we're also going to preview, by the way, in the coming hours. But we're going to talk about Djalo and Rugani, Miretti Jr. And before we do that, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification, and let's jump straight into it. Okay, before we get into it, really quickly, this is the last transfer update daily of the year because tomorrow I will drop the preview and then I will put out the match day reactions, all that stuff. So that's it for this season. But we start off with Djalo because we talked about him the last couple of days, weeks. Even in the summer, I mentioned him once, and I said, I think even yesterday or the day before, I said it's some weird news, confusing news. It feels like we're playing games with Inter. I said, but we just need to keep an eye on it because you never know. And well, good thing we kept an eye on it because Romeo Agresti spoke on Djalo and he said, even in the last hours, there have been moves made by Juve regarding Thiago Djalo. Inter remains ahead with the player. However, the situation is still to be monitored. The idea for Juve would be to secure Thiago Djalo immediately, possibly through compensation, and then find a team to loan him until June. However, Inter has been in advanced talks with the player for weeks. Now, the situation is simple, as I said. He had a very bad injury, so he's not playing football for a year now. He's not going to sign that new deal, and Lille is saying you're not playing. Now, Inter, by going off reports, have an agreement with the player, but they want to get him on a free transfer. Now, what Juve is trying to do is telling Lille, we give you a couple of millions, and we will take him now instead of a free. However, you need to find an agreement with Djalo because you also need to convince Djalo, basically, to go on loan 6 months and then come back to June, or what he's doing now, not playing at all, and then join Inter. I don't know what the agreement is. Also, the decreto crescita is gone, so you cannot splash the cash willy-nilly anymore because that rule is gone, tax things, which is a big thing, because you're probably not going to sign a player like Rabiot anymore and handing out money after money after money and big contracts. That's gone, which is a good thing in certain aspects, and it's a bad thing in other aspects as well. Generally speaking, it's not a good thing for a league that's already struggling big time. You will not see bigger names come in at all, and with bigger names, I'm even talking about quote unquote Pulisic. Like these players, they can get bigger money elsewhere. So that being said, the Djalo thing is interesting because we are in a situation where at this moment in time we don't need center backs. You have Danilo, you have Bremer, you have Gatti, you have Rugani, and for the moment being, you have also Alexandro. He's gone out of the door. Depending on how you're going to play next season, do you need Djalo? Yes, he's free. He can be cheap. He comes off a terrible injury. That means probably Huijsen is not coming back next season. Otherwise, you're with too many players. Are you going to switch formation? So a lot of question marks with Djalo that need to be answered before you make this deal actually happen. Who is he? He's highly regarded. He was a good, highly regarded center back, and still is. But he hasn't. He had a big injury. You need to keep in mind. You really do. He's a center back. He can play left and right back in a back four if needed, which gives you options if you move to a back four. But like I said, injury, you don't know how it's going to pan out. And on top of that, we already have a lot of center backs, and a lot depends on what we're going to do. Sandro is gone. That means Huijsen is not coming back. I will talk about Rugani in a minute. So a lot of question marks needs to be answered before you actually push on for this deal. However, it is a deal we're trying to do, so we need to keep it serious. And at this moment in time, it's a bit confusing as of where the club is going. And when I'm saying that, I mean not really personnel wise, but formation wise. What is the idea going into next season? Because if you're gonna play a back three, you don't need 5 center backs. Like that's overkill. Like that's way too much. That means you're gonna need to make decisions, and I have no idea what decisions they are at this moment in time. However, Inter still in the driver's seat, still in pole position, and if you just need to believe all the news out there, they will try to seal that deal very soon and convince Djalo just to wait for another 6 months and then join Inter on a free, which makes more sense for Inter if you look at their center back situation as well compared to ours, if we're being completely honest. But that's Djalo. That's some good piece of information. Now we move on to Rugani, another center back, and he's going to say Romeo just confirmed that Juve are working to extend Rugani's contract until 26. More positive context took place. It's about a 2-year extension, obviously. Also, the wages are going to drop. I've always been from the standpoint of you move on these players because it's time to move on, and you integrate Huijsen. We didn't do that. He's going on loan. I don't know how he's going to do on loan. He wasted 6 months, basically. So we don't know how that's going to pan out. Alexandro is gone. I am not a big Danilo fan. Not now, not long term. So that cannot be the solution. And he played well, Rugani. He did very well. I thought we looked better defensively with him in that back three. But that's a discussion for another day, I guess. However, I cannot be a hypocrite, and I've always said, stop doing these things. But the situation of the club, I think, is very clear now. And the way they want to operate, the way they want to try to make certain deals happen, it's keeping these players. I don't think it's going to be a Djalo scenario because Djalo is very injury prone, but that's the risk you take with players that you considered not good enough in the past. Now, maybe this is what Rugani needs. Play a good portion of minutes, then disappear in the lineup and play a good portion of minutes again so you can minimize mistakes that he made regularly in the past. But in those 8 games, he showed that he's very reliable this season. There's proof ever since he came back that he has moments of complete blackouts, Villarreal, like the list goes on. But when he gets called upon in the last 3 seasons, I'm going to say 75-80% of the games he performed well. It's just that, the Djalo news, the Huijsen leaving on loan, it's a bit, like I said, the direction, I'm not certain. We need to wait, I guess, until next season because I don't think we're going to change anything formation-wise this season. Now let's move on to Miretti. And this is from Corriere dello Sport. We discussed Miretti at length on this channel. Maybe way too much, some might suggest. Some say he's absolutely rubbish. Just sell him and move on. Some say there's a player in him, loan him out. And others are undecisive. Now, I'm all for loaning him out in the right situation because it's clear that he's not going to get the minutes he needs consistently at the club now. I think that's very obvious. I don't think playing in a 3-5-2 is what he's good at. I don't think playing with players like Kostic and all those things and the way we play is not suited to him, especially if it's in a 3-5-2, like I said, and you get benched at times, then get back into the team. He needs to develop. Will he be a top player? Only time will tell. I do believe in him. The news is that Juve is willing to loan Miretti out in January. Sassuolo, Udinese, and Monza are interested. Juve want to get him more playing time so they can aim to get a player in. I don't think if Miretti is gone, they're going to sign a player. They need money. I don't think it's Miretti bounded. But if you bring in a midfielder, then yes, you better move on Miretti on loan. Otherwise, it makes no sense. Now, mid-season, it's always a risk. You need to find the perfect situation. A team that's playing well enough with a coach that is like, okay, I'm going to use you. And that's a danger, and that's when I'm sitting back and I'm like, I don't see a really good solution, an obvious solution at this moment in time in the league. I really don't. Um, I still believe in him big time because he has qualities that are very rare. You don't coach. You just have. I think he's the only player who can play forward passes, but the way we play, it is not easy. It is not easy. I recall a lot of the games where he was not on the same page with Kostic, especially Kostic or Rabiot. It took way too long, and he thinks in a different way, and it looks messy. I'm not gonna lie. It looks messy. It looks out of place a lot of the times, and there needs to be a solution for him. I'm just not sure if loaning him out mid-season is the right one, because I just don't see the right option out there. I'm all for it, but I don't see an obvious option out there, if I'm being completely honest. Then we move on to another youngster, and that's Ealing Jr. It's been quite quiet on Ealing Jr. on the Ealing Jr. front. I still believe he's gone in January. I really believe that because you have Kostic playing poor and he keeps getting the starts and all the minutes. So that's kind of sad and telling at the same time. Now, Tuttosport is saying that he is and remains primary candidate to move to the Premier League, allowing the club to raise funds and get that money to a midfielder. If that midfielder is Højbjerg, then stop it. Also, it's about loans. We're trying to loan players in January, so I'm not sure if you really need that money immediately. That's very a bit contradicting news. However, he remains a top candidate because he will get you money. It will be clear plus Valenza or a lot a lot of plus Valenza, excuse me, and other players are not that hot on the market. Sule, we're not going to sell Sule in January, so he is the only player that will hand you a transfer fee. Other names are not linked with a move. It's him and that's it. So that's why it's the quote unquote obvious choice. But it has been really quiet on that front. It really has. It can explode. It can explode from now until tomorrow, and news can pick up really quickly. Like the Adzik news, it came basically out of nowhere because it was done. We didn't hear anything about for 2 weeks, and then boom, it was done overnight. So things can change really quickly, but he remains the first candidate. I remain very sad with the situation, but we spoke about it so many times. I think I just accepted the situation. I accepted the reality. I accepted the direction the club wants to go in, or Allegri decides to go in, and there's nothing you can do about it besides moan, and which we did on this channel. So that's that. And to wrap it up, because we play Roma, and it's easy to make that news, but it also is not news that will disappear over the summer. Even though Lukaku said, I'm going to speak on the situation. If Juve call, he will accept, because I don't think Roma is going to buy him at the end of the season, unless Chelsea just offers him off for a bargain price. Tuttosport is saying the ongoing saga might not be over, as Vlahovic is burned it by cost and contract renewal with high wages. Meanwhile, for Lukaku, Chelsea is unwilling to offer discounts for Roma. This situation they created in the summer, like the debate might basically unfold again, and it was a hell of a summer. The Lukaku thing, the Vlahovic thing, we talked about it, and you can say Lukaku is doing better than Vlahovic, and for my part, I've always said if Lukaku joins, he is gonna score goals. I just question the cost of the operation, the age, the idea, all those things. That's what I question, and that's all I said about the situation. I was like, if you want to move on Lukaku, fine. I'm just here for something else, a more dynamic, younger player, something you can develop and sell on, because just basically the situation of the club, So I don't want to go into that saga again, but I do believe it's going to pop up again in the summer. We will be linked with Lukaku in the summer, 100%. And Vlahovic will be linked with a move away from the club 1,000%. He's been linked with a move away now. So that's that. That's the news. That's the update. Like I said, the last real daily update of the year, unless there's some breaking news. Otherwise, tomorrow, Saturday morning, the preview for the Roma game. After the game, match reaction. Then on Sunday, player ratings, and on Monday, I'm not sure what, because I'm gonna pre-record stuff for the 31st and the 1st of January as well, so people have things to watch. Yeah, that's it for me. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification to stay up to date, and I will see you guys tomorrow post game. Ciao.